Hello, it's 4 o'clock and you're watching Buzz News. I'm Daisy Pearce. Coming up, a local vegan food justice and community projects volunteer team are continuing to deliver aid to families in Gaza. A Bournemouth man is fundraising for the Oddballs Foundation in an attempt to raise awareness of testicular cancer. Bournemouth University and AFC Bournemouth celebrate their partnership for their 13th year. A vegan food justice and community projects volunteer team in Bournemouth are continuing to deliver aid to families in Gaza following the release of a number of Palestinian hostages. Founded by Anas Arafat, a Palestinian lawyer who had his house bombed in the conflict, Plant a Land is a charity team with a base in Bournemouth but are operating heavily in Gaza. They have delivered over 3,000 care packages this week and are continuing their efforts following the ceasefire and release of Palestinian hostages. The package includes food, water, clothes and other necessities.
Of course, the first thing that happened was my house being demolished by the Israel Defense Force. First, they blocked me from entering my house, telling me I had to stop my charity work in providing assistance to other families in Gaza. They told me that mine and my family's houses would be bombed if I kept going. Frankly, I didn't care, because we continued our work and provided help to more families, despite the challenges we faced due to the limited capabilities and the lack of resources available.
A Bournemouth man has raised over £700 for the Oddballs Foundation by setting himself a chili challenge for every day in February. The foundation was founded in 2015 and aims to make a difference to male health around the world. As well as raising money, Harry Chambers is a university ambassador and hosts talks to schools to remove the stigma and embarrassment surrounding testicular cancer.
So in February I will be doing a daily cold sea plunge in the sea in Bournemouth to raise funds and money for the Oddballs Foundation. It's going to be tricky, but you know it'll be good fun. I've currently raised £717 so far, and it's not even February, so hopefully we can reach the 1,000 mark by the end of the month. I'm talking to staff at schools saying, look, I'd really like to book in this talk. So I've got a couple next week at Leaf Studios and Canford School, but also helping out the student fundraising ambassador for Bournemouth as well. I saw a rugby player wearing a pair of Oddballs boxers and I thought, yeah, I just want to be like that guy. And then, so that was probably, a good few years ago. And then as I got to uni, I saw that there was ambassadors for this, and then I sort of looked into it a bit more, and I was like, oh my gosh, this would be such a cool thing to do. Yeah, no, £1,000 would be my target, and if I could get, but honestly, just as much as I can get from anybody, yeah.
AFC Bournemouth have partnered up with Bournemouth University to celebrate the 13th BU Big Match. This year's BU Big Match is this weekend against Liverpool. Tom Dingley has more.
AFC Bournemouth and Bournemouth University have partnered up for the BU Big Match for the 13th year. The BU Big Match is a match in the AFC Bournemouth schedule dedicated to celebrating the partnership between the Cherries and the university. This year it's tomorrow's clash against Liverpool at the Vitality Stadium. A handful of lucky students were given the opportunity to interview AFC Bournemouth's very own Justin Clivert and AFCB Women's Kenny Thompson. This opportunity, given to a small number of Bournemouth University journalism students, gives them the opportunity to put the skills they have learned into practice and celebrates the partnership between the club and the university. The players also spoke to the Cherries podcast regular Zoe Rundle and Students' Union Vice President Jeffrey Onaniwu about the success of the AFC Bournemouth's men's and women's teams this season. The special discussion also focused on what it is like to move to a new country and to settle in Bournemouth. Clivert has played for clubs in 5 different countries, and Kenny Thompson is a Bermudan international who has played club football in Spain. Students from all around the world will join Bournemouth University this week to begin their studies, and the podcast special has been designed to help students settle into life in Bournemouth. Opportunities like this are one of the many things that the partnership brings, and it's safe to say the students loved it. Tom Dingley, Buzz News.
Ryanair has cancelled one of its routes from Bournemouth Airport to Morocco. They have blamed this choice on an increase in air passenger duty announced by Chancellor Rachel Reeves in the October 2024 budget. Ryanair's decision to axe the Bournemouth-Agadir route marks a setback for the airport's expansion plans. The route was the first connection to Africa from the Dorset airport, with flights having started last April. Despite this setback, Bournemouth Airport continued to operate other Ryanair routes. And now for some stories within our community. Here's Bethany White and Charlotte Batson.
Thanks, Daisy. Last Monday was Holocaust Memorial Day. It's an international marker to remember the genocide of millions of Jews and other victims of the horrors. Bournemouth and Poole Holocaust Memorial Day Committee organised a service in commemoration. Samira Gover has more.
On Sunday afternoon, Poole Lighthouse hosted a service in remembrance of Auschwitz's liberation and the Bosnian genocide. On Sunday afternoon, Poole Lighthouse hosted a service in remembrance of Auschwitz's liberation and the Bosnian genocide. The service started with a welcome and act of commemoration by Linda Ford Horn, chair of the committee.
We find ourselves in very fragile times, holding our breath, hoping and praying for a better future.
Holocaust started in a very small way. It started by making the other feel belittled, calling them things like rats and vermin, and then marginalising them. And that unfortunately still happens in the world, and so it's important that we teach people that a small hatred can turn into a big hatred.
The International Day encourages remembrance for the 6 million Jews murdered during the Holocaust, alongside millions of others killed under Nazi persecution.
The 27th of January 2025 marks the 80th anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz-Birkenau, the largest Nazi concentration camp. It also marks 30 years since the genocide in Bosnia.
A speaker at the event read her father's account of his time at Auschwitz and showed his drawings that would later be used as evidence against Nazi criminals.
We were in the crematoria and nobody was there late in the autumn when it was cold. The capo, which means the head of the block, he said to us, "Children, you finished your jobs and nobody is in the gas chamber. So if you're cold, you can come inside and warm yourselves." And I was a curious child, and I went there and I tried to remember everything I saw. I asked the people who worked in the crematoria as prisoners what it was, and they explained it to me. And I remembered it very well. And in 1945, I made drawings of it all. So, some of my father's drawings were used as forensic evidence in the Eichmann trial of 1961, and also later in the trial of the Holocaust denier and writer David Irving.
The memorial started at 2:30 and saw many notable people within the area in attendance.
We need to remember the horrors of the Holocaust. Shortly after I was elected as the MP for Bournemouth East, I went to Auschwitz-Birkenau because as a private citizen, I wanted to see, to feel and to know exactly what had happened there. And I will never ever forget that experience. To walk among the remnants of the camp, to see the exhibitions, to hear from survivors, it really taught me about the discrimination, the hatred, the horrors that are possible in our world, and we need to make sure that we never ever repeat that.
National Holocaust Memorial Day is important for everyone to commemorate, not only those within the Jewish faith. Councillor Millie Earle recognises the value of remembering, especially being in a position of power within the community.
So today is a really poignant reminder of some of the atrocities and the violence that people have experienced. And I think from being in a position of leadership, you know, we take those things to heart. We have to really listen to those experiences and make sure that we are always checking ourselves and making sure that we're standing up for hatred, because it's only when people in those positions of power, you know, are really going to put in the effort to make sure we don't export hatred from certain places of the world, and actually we are key to promoting peace, so everyone can live a really fulfilled life.
The event has been running since 2001 and happens on the nearest Sunday to the 27th of January each year. In the wake of tragedy, it's important to reflect and not let the spirits of those who lost their lives be forgotten. Samira Gova, Buzz News.
An archaeology initiative is helping soldiers recover from mental and physical trauma after service. Operation Nightingale takes veterans and serving personnel to archaeological digs to set them in the right direction towards recovery. Finn McCarthy has the story.
These soldiers and veterans have swapped their rifles for metal detectors to help them recover from past traumas. Operation Nightingale is a programme that supports veterans and serving personnel through the medium of archaeology. They've pivoted from digging trenches to searching the ground for little pieces of history.
The soldier we set up Nightingale for was a corporal in the Rifles. He'd found an Anglo-Saxon sword, just brilliant find, and he stood up and he said, my heart's going, and I've not felt like this since I was mortared by the Taliban. And it's just a weird juxtaposition of thrill and life experience, but archaeology can give you that, and that's what I like about it.
Richard Osgood founded the operation and has since helped hundreds of veterans recover from a variety of physical and mental traumas.
Operation Nightingale began in 2011, and it was a method of enabling recovery for service personnel from the British military post being in Iraq and Afghanistan and things like that. Some of them want to do the discovery sort of thing. They like that thing that we all do, finding something in the ground. But, some want to do mapping, some want to do surveying, some like to do drawing, some like even working in the chef's tent to learn cooking. So it's all sorts of those wonderful skills that archaeology requires. There's so many different things, and there's something for everyone.
For the personnel involved in the programme, it gives them the opportunity to once again feel the camaraderie that comes with being in the military, allowing them to open up to comrades who've had similar trauma, be themselves, and stop suppressing those harrowing thoughts. Libby Evans spoke to one such member.
A friend of mine had done a few archaeological digs with them on Salisbury Plain, and he asked me if I wanted to get involved. He knew I was going through a bit of a bad time at PTSD at the time. And I couldn't believe it. He was asking me to dig holes on Salisbury Plain, one of the places that I'd trained on with the army over and over. And I thought, no, not a chance. But I gave it a shot, and I've never looked back. It's very similar to serving again, because you're hanging around with a bunch of ex-service personnel, and you can open up to each other because you've all been through the same sort of thing.
Operation Nightingale is more than just a therapy session for soldiers. Long-lasting friendships and a deep support network between members have been invaluable to Paul.
Recently I've just been through a eight-month battle with cancer, and reference, I've got long hair, and the comradeship, it's unbelievable. The phone calls, the messages from people on Nightingale was absolutely, it carried me through. They say, well done, Paul, you beat cancer and all that. I didn't beat cancer, we did it as a team. It made me smile every day with the dark jokes, and people sending me wigs. And
oh God, you make me emotional, Paul.
Whether it be an amazing discovery or just an excuse to have a chat with like-minded people, the soldiers can return to home base knowing that this operation was a resounding success. Finn McCarthy, Buzz News.
After recently being diagnosed with terminal cancer, entertainer Jason Dean is co-hosting an event with Harry Redknapp to celebrate his life and raise money for charity. A restaurant owner has allowed Jason to use her venue for free. Harry Reams reports.
The celebration is taking place at the restaurant Lemire's in Poole Quay on the 9th of February. It will include a party featuring many cover artists that Jason has met during his years in show business, as well as a charity auction with special guest Harry Redknapp, who is a friend of Jason. The event aims to raise significant funds for charity Dorset Cancer Care Foundation.
Yeah, so basically, I was diagnosed with cancer 3.5 to 4 years ago, which I've been battling, various operations, etc., and I'm still here. Sadly, my latest prognosis was that it's gone terminal, and now I'm on my last chance chemo, so I don't know what my life expectancy is. I could be going on for another 10 to 14 years, but people might call me a fake, but that's how it is. But what I wanted to do is have a big party full of entertainment, as entertainment's been my life. I've always been a presenter, a cruise director, on radio, etc., etc. And it is my passion. And along the way, we're going to be raising a little bit of money for Dorset Cancer Care Foundation as well, who have been really supportive to me. And what we're doing is asking friends to give us a donation of £10 per person on the door, if affordable. And if you don't know me, then you can still come along, but you've got to buy a ticket for £20. I think that's fair enough. And everyone's donated their time for free as well, which is great. And Lemire's here on Poole Quay, Carly and the team, they've given us the venue. They offered the venue for free, which is great. So yeah, it's going to be fab. We got a charity auction which various outlets and suppliers have donated. Harry Redknapp, who's a friend of mine anyway, he's offered to come down and co-host the auction with me, so he's going to pop down for about an hour or two with Sandra. So we're going to co-host that and just raise a little bit more money as well and bleed as much money out of the guests as I possibly can. Why not?
The owner of Lemire's, Kylie Jervis-Good, opened the restaurant 9 months ago. She thinks it's a great opportunity to raise money for charity and to celebrate Jason.
So I've known Jason for quite a few years. Jason helped me back in 2019 with an event that I put together for prostate cancer when I lost my dad. And Jason did the hosting and the auction for me. And so I thought I would return the favour and help Jason with his event, which is in February. It's a massive event because it's something that Jason feels he needs to do for himself, but also I think it's a great event for his family and friends as well. And it's a celebration. This is not a morbid thing. It's a celebration.
Harry Weems, Buzz News.
A documentary starring world record swimmer Ollie Rush from Poole has been released. The Grand Swim was filmed before, during and after Ollie's 37-hour swim around Grand Cayman. But swimming isn't what every day looks like for Ollie. He told our reporter Jax Davies what this record is really about.
Many people know Ollie Rush as the human fish, the man who swam for 37 hours around the Cayman Islands, earning him a world record. But for Ollie, being an ultra swimmer isn't about the title or the glory. It's about raising awareness for plastic pollution. I've come to Ollie's favourite spot in Swanage for one of his beach cleans, and he told me how it all started.
It was probably 7 years ago now. I always get the time scale a little bit wrong, but came down to Chapman's Pool and was going to go for a surf. There was no waves. And I just ended up going for a walk, had a look about and saw how much plastic was on the beach, and it woke me up to it really. I knew it was always bad, the plastic pollution, especially around here. It catches a lot of the plastics because of the southwesterly winds. Started picking up bits of plastic and doing beach cleans, and we've grown into, I've skipped a lot there, but we've grown into the charity we are now. I just love getting down, getting out on the coast. The sun's out today, which is very rare, we're very lucky. And pick bits of plastic up, make a difference and try and protect the environment.
Following his 95-kilometre swim, Ollie founded Project Planet Earth, a charity that fights against plastic pollution by doing beach cleans, but also raising awareness about the dangers of plastic in the ocean. He comes to Chapman's Pool at least once a month to pick up rubbish and have as much recycled as possible.
What I normally try and do is collect it all up. At the end, when we get back, if there's a few of us, we'll go through all the rubbish, separate all the hard plastics that can be recycled. The rest, unfortunately, goes off the landfill. We take it up once a year, normally up this track when it dries out. And yeah, there's a massive pile around the back of the huts at the moment.
Project Planet Earth clears around 1.5 tons of plastic every year. They're now looking to raise money for a boat that can help collect more plastic and transport the heavy bags. Ollie says that the fishing industry is one of the worst contributors to ocean pollution.
I would say probably over 90% of what we find here is fishing industry waste. So fishing nets, rope, all sorts of stuff. We get hooks as well, but generally it's the nets. You can imagine what chance wildlife has got if they swim into a ghost net that's been lost at sea.
He spends a lot of his beach cleans cutting the washed up nets and removing them from the shore to prevent wildlife getting caught. And it's not just about the environmental impact.
Ollie said that since starting his beach cleans, his mental health has improved.
I was kind of chasing money like many of us do. I was working 6-7 days a week, not in a particularly good place, to be honest. Came down here, saw the amount of plastic, and I wanted to put that energy somewhere else. So I started cleaning up, started picking up the plastic, started realising that by reconnecting outside and getting outdoors into nature, I slowed down a bit. I kind of stopped chasing the material possessions, and I felt a lot happier.
Ollie aims to inspire others to care for the ocean as much as he does, often going into schools and sharing his passion with the new generation.
When I come away from a school visit and I see their little faces and some of the questions they ask, and I get messages back from the teachers, sometimes emails from the parents about how it's affected the kids and how it's inspired them to go out and do a litter pick, I think it's all worthwhile. So there's a lot of depressing stuff that I talk about with the amount of plastics, but also there's real hope as well.
Ollie hopes to take on a new swimming challenge in the future, but until then, will continue to campaign for better beaches, one piece of plastic at a time. Jex Davis, Buzz News.
Bournemouth, Christchurch and Poole have established themselves as a hotspot for creative venues after celebrating Independent Venue Week. From live bands to DJ sets to even game nights, it truly feels like there's something for everyone. Sam Walters reports.
Grassroots music has been a staple in societies across the country, creating communities and safe spaces for creatives alike.
I've been playing the guitar for 30 odd years, but never sang. And I didn't sing till very recently, a few years ago, when I had a singer who bottled it and I then had to sing. So I was quite shocked to then, like this, are terrifying. Find it really scary, but it's great and it's so satisfying to have that, come off.
Music Venues Trust released a report stating that from 2024 to 25, there were 810 grassroots music venues, with just over 19 million audience visitors, resulting in the value of the sector soaring to well over £500 million in the UK. This sector has secured so much for the economy, but still receiving limited investment. Since July 2021, over £7 million was raised and invested into venues, artists and promoters since July 2021. But for the determined venues in Bournemouth, Christchurch and Poole area, they are continuing to prosper and adapt.
So grassroots music venues across the UK bring in so much money to the economy. How do you feel personally music had a foothold in Bournemouth?
So we're really lucky in Bournemouth how diverse our genres are and the amount of promotion that we have locally, whether it be specifically in grassroots. We have local festivals covering all sorts of different kinds of music. Here at the venue we also cover a huge range of music, predominantly in the grassroots part. However, we also cover gaming nights such as Warhammer and open tabletop games.
The council across Dorset and BCP have made arts and culture a leading force in the area, with so many initiatives like New Living Legacy Fund, central government initiatives like the Level Up Fund. The creative industry is looking bright in our area. Having a venue to express yourself does not only improve an area economically, but it also has an impact on limited antisocial behaviour and indifference. There is evidence to suggest that a creative society leads to a united one.
I don't want to go see a touring show that costs sometimes extortionate prices to see. People want to see something that's a little bit more to the people, with the people, for the people, amongst the people.
With more eyes focused on the sector, the future seems bright. Sam Walters, Buzz News.
A teenager from Boscombe is cycling 1,000 miles for a charity of 11 of his classmates from Appleford Dyslexia School. All of the teenagers involved have special educational needs and hope that they are doing this they raise awareness of neurodiversity. Alex Bernardini reports.
Lex Taylor Lovelace has started training for an 1,000-mile bike ride he's doing for charity. Lex is only 14, but will be cycling from John O'Groats in the north of Scotland to Land's End in Cornwall, with 11 of his schoolmates.
I've been cycling at this level for a good 2 years, but I took a big break between events. So I did an event last year where we cycled from Devizes all the way to Westminster Abbey. So ever since then I took half a year. So now I'm just coming back into it to get back to the level I was and get my cardio back up, just to get ready for the event.
Lex has ADHD and dyslexia, and is hoping that cycling will bring awareness to neurodivergency.
A lot of people don't understand what it means to be neurodiverse, so I think by doing this we'll bring awareness to the cause, and cause it's not just a bunch of children that have it, it's a lot of people, because they just don't know they have it, so they're undiagnosed.
But Lex isn't the only hard worker in the family. Lex's mum is his biggest supporter and has been working tirelessly behind the scenes helping raise money for Appleford School so they can fund the trip.
Oh, it's absolutely phenomenal. It's 1,000 miles. He's 14 years old. There's a bunch of them. There's going to be 12 from school. All the children are neurodiverse. Most of them have got EHCP plans. They're all doing something to prove that neurodiversity is, you know, in this case, it makes absolutely no difference. It's celebrated. They are as strong, as fit as anybody else.
The bike ride will be happening between the 25th of June and the 9th of July. Alex Bennett-Denny, Buzz News.
A woman from Dorchester provides emergency aid to hedgehogs coming out of hibernation early due to warmer winters and less food. She is currently preparing for an influx of hedgehogs to her rescue centre this spring. Holly Austin has more.
Prickly Prickles Hedgehog Rescue is about to experience its busiest time of year as hedgehogs of Britain are about to emerge from hibernation. A report conducted by the Centre for Applied Zoology in Cornwall found that numbers of hedgehogs in the UK are in decline and that as few as 30% of young hedgehogs survive their first winter.
The hedgehog is found and brought to me, and then my job is to rehabilitate the hedgehog and then for it to be healthy to be back released into the wild.
An emergency case was rushed to Christine Legg, who gives round-the-clock care to these creatures.
The first sign and most important is if you see a hedgehog out during the day, because a hedgehog is in need of help and it's actually asking for help because it should not be out during the daytime. Normally they can be wobbly, they're very dehydrated, they can be emaciated, they're covered in fleas or they've got ticks on them, they've got injuries, they're bleeding, they can have fly strike. So there's just so much that, you know, we need to sort of like, you know, be able to see that that's what's happening to a hedgehog, and that's when we need to know that that hedgehog needs help as soon as possible.
Sonic the Hedgehog was given immediate examination, weighing in at 670 grams. He was declared as having extreme dehydration, emaciation, and a skin condition alongside being extremely cold.
And I'm just going to show you, this is a sure sign of when a hedgehog's dehydrated. You can tent them. That's what we call tenting. So he does need some dehydration fluids, rehydration fluids. So I'm going to, I've got some indoors, I'm going to get it for him in a minute and put it in his feed. Right. Also you can tell that he's dehydrated and he's very emaciated, because if I pick him up, he's very thin.
He was given immediate fluids to rehydrate, food and a heat mat to rest on while he recovers. Sonic's condition is being replicated by many hogs unable to survive tough conditions, but under Christine's care at the rescue, he has the best chances. This was Holly Austin reporting for Buzz News.
Hello and good afternoon. Some of us woke up to quite a damp and grey start this morning, but in Dorset it was much brighter, and that's likely where we see the best of the sunshine today. But if you live near hilly areas, you could spot some drizzly spells and clouds. The temperature is average for this time of the year though, with highs of 10 degrees Celsius. As we go back into the evening, there'll be plenty of clouds in the south and the southeast, once again turning quite grey and murky by the time we reach tomorrow morning. That's everything from me. Thank you for tuning in. Back to you, Daisy, in the studio.
Thank you, goodbye.